and welcome to Stitchy's World. This is podcast number 1. My name is Caitlin, and I would like to share with you all of the things that are inspiring me in the knitting world, and crochet world. So today I'd like to share some of the things I finished, some of the items I'm working on, some things I've got queued up, and even a little bit of what I'm reading because I am a librarian and I can't help but talk about books as well. So let's dive in. First up is what I've finished. I have been working my way through this book, The Knitted Animal Friends by Louise Crowther. It is so fun. I've already done a couple that I'm not going to show today because I've given them away, and this was like last year, 2 years ago, even 3 years ago. But I do have a couple of knitted animal friends to share with you today. So the first one's name is Noah. And Noah is this adorable horse. I squeeze his face, otherwise he starts to look like a cow. Look like a horse, Noah. There you go. He's wearing these adorable little overalls with a little pocket here. I got him some wooden buttons and a little t-shirt. He has a little tail coming out of the back of his overalls with buttons down the back. And yeah, he is huge. I don't think you can even see him all in frame. These knitted animal friends are supposed to be, let me tell you how tall they're supposed to be, especially Noah. Noah's finished measurement should be, well, I can't find that information, but clearly it didn't matter to me. I'm knitting him up in yarn that's just a little bit heavier weight than is recommended. So of course he's going to come out a little bit bigger. But in my opinion, he's just so cuddly and snuggly, so I don't care. He was fairly easy to put together, although I will say this was probably my 4th or 5th time knitting one of these patterns. So I'm just going to put Noah up behind so he can hang out and watch us hang out during the rest of the podcast. So next up, I finished Tilly the hare. This was around Easter time when I finished Tilly, and I just thought it would be fun to do a knitted bunny. I had done Tilly one other time, and the yarn I used, I just didn't get a very good fabric, but I'm really happy with the way Tilly turned out. Here she is. She's got her little carrot sweater. I'm going to unbutton it so you can see her dress beneath. So Tilly's got this little short sleeve number on, with the detailing on the, is that called the bodice? The top part of the dress. I did not do her little undergarments. The pattern does supply directions for little knitted French bloomers, but I did not do those, not this time. And then her cardigan in case it gets chilly, which it tends to do. So this is Tilly. These are carrots along here. There are definitely a couple of mistakes on each one of these knitted animal friends. Mistakes and all, I absolutely love them. So Tilly can hang out with Noah. The next knitted animal friend that I finished is Dorothy the mouse. So I'd like to introduce you to Dorothy the mouse. She's so sweet, and I love her little pink nose. She has just a little shrug with a picot edge bind off. That was maybe the first time I had done the picot edge bind off. It was not a hard bind off to do. And she's got on, oh, I'm going to take off her little shrug so you can see her top underneath. This has just a little detailing, very delicate looking. And also buttons down the back. All of the animals have buttons to make room for their little tails. So this is Dorothy's tail. She's a mouse. And her little well, I won't call them bloomers, but her little pants have a little detailing to pick up the blouse. And it's the same picot edge bind off on the bottom. And Dorothy's so sweet, and she came out really good, if I do say so myself. I forgot to show you Dorothy's little shoes. They are just so cute, the two-tone shoes with a little button closure. Some of the patterns have shoes and some do not. And as you can see, they are all three kind of different sizes. But like I said, it's got to do with the yarn I'm using, and these are just Knitted Friends, so I'm not being too picky about size. Now I will show you the yarn that I'm using for these. I'm actually a quite cheap knitter. I will splurge on nice yarns when I'm knitting something for myself or family, but when it comes to toys, I don't always spend a lot on yarn. So I've actually bought all of the yarn for those three Knitted Friends from the Dollar Tree. So the yarn line that the Dollar Tree carries is called Just Yarn, and it's actually produced by Premier Yarns. So mostly it's a worsted weight, and I find it works up really nicely for toys. I have one more Knitted Friend who's not quite finished. Now her name is Charlotte, and she is a fox, and she just needs some eyes. So this is Charlotte the fox. I don't know, I was going gangbusters, and then all of a sudden I got to the point where I just needed to do her eyes, and for whatever reason just haven't done it yet. How cute is her tail? So this is Charlotte the fox. She will be hopefully finished by the next time I do a podcast. I'm gonna do button eyes for her. I do have the buttons already purchased, so I just need to attach them. I really like her face shaping. She's a very foxy lady. So this is Charlotte. She will be hopefully joining us next week and be able to see what's going on. I am working on Charlotte's jacket. You can see on the cover her little green jacket. Now that is a seed stitch jacket, and it's on the needles here. I'm doing it in more of a blue than the moss green that it calls for. But all of these little outfits are actually my favorite part of doing these Knitted Animal Friends. That and seaming. Believe it or not, I love seaming them up because that's when the magic happens. That's when you put the stuffing in and you shape them and they just come to life. So if you're afraid of seaming, don't be. All of these projects are knit flat. And it's a great opportunity to practice your mattress stitch. This is her little jacket and still on the needles, and I didn't realize seed stitch is a slog for me. It's just, I can't quite remember the pattern in order to like do it while watching TV, so I just have to sit there and check each one off as I do it, so it's taking me some time. But that's okay. The next finished item I have is my Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. This was recommended by my cousin who knit it up for her sisters. And it looks so tiny. Don't laugh. You can laugh. It is really tiny. But the whole thing is ribbed, so it does have a lot of stretch to it. But I was excited about this pattern because it is very customizable. You can extend, you can do it longer or shorter, however you want. I ended up going shorter than I needed to, but for summer, it's perfect. I might wear it on the beach. I might just wear it around, you know, kicking around. One of my favorite aspects of her design is she doesn't do just a regular I-cord strap. She does a double knitted strap. And that sounded complicated to me, but she has YouTube video tutorials on every aspect of the design that you might have trouble with. And they're, whoops, where are you? There, you can see there. They are nice and sturdy. Yes, they still have stretch, but they're not just like 4 stitches that I'm gonna have digging in or afraid they're gonna stretch out. I think this will be really, people are outside in the rain. I think this will be just right. I'm knitting this in a yarn that I purchased over a decade ago, I believe at a Stitches conference. I could be wrong about that. It's called Zen Garden, and it is a DK. Zen Garden Serenity DK. Ooh, Serenity. I love the colors in it. I've hung on to this yarn for so long not knowing what to do with it, but I finally found something, and I have quite a bit left, so I'm actually going to be using this yarn for something that's coming up, which I'll get to in a second. But for now, let me finish the last thing that I completed, which is, drumroll please, a sock. But this is a top-down vanilla sock, for lack of a better term. I'm knitting it in my size. I haven't knit myself a pair of socks in ages. This has quite a bit of wool in it, I believe, though I don't think I have the tag anymore. That's it for finished objects. Now let's talk about what I've got on the needles. Well, I already showed you two of the things I have on the needles. Charlotte's jacket. I do want to finish her eyes. And then the second thing would be the sock number 2. Ooh, this is the project I've been obsessed with since the weekend, since just before the weekend actually. I'm knitting the violet. It's by Jessica McDonald, and I'll show a picture of it so you know what I'm making. It is a top-down seamless sweater, short sleeve sweater. I haven't done the sleeves yet, but I think this is what's called a drop down, drop seam. Now what the heck do you call that? It's not satin, it's not raglan, it's not afterthought, that's a sock term. I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't picked up the sleeve stitches, so the shoulder's very low on the shoulder is what I'm trying to say. Like the sleeves won't be until here, like here. There's going to be some lace detail at around the bottom. So right now I'm just knitting down until it's 7 inches less than my finished height. You can see it's a very open weave, like I can see you through the sweater. I'm really hoping that this yarn does some magical blossoming when I block it. What I'm knitting it in is Shibui Twig, and the color is Blueprint, and it's 46% linen, 42% recycled silk, and 12% wool. So I feel like that should kind of have a nice reaction with a little soaking. So we'll see, but regardless, I love it. I'm gonna wear it no matter if I can see through it or not. I'll just wear a little something under it. The twig yarn has been interesting. I kid you not, in one of the skeins, I actually found a little piece of twig. Now, I don't think it was really twig, but it was some kind of plant matter that I think was woven into spun into the ply, which is kind of funny. All right. That concludes what I have on the needles. Now let me tell you about what I have in the queue. So what I would really like to make with the remaining Zen Garden yarn that I knit my ripple bralette in is the Look at My Holes top by James N. Watts. I think this will be a really subtle way I'm not a person that is very comfortable like showing off my belly button and everything, but I feel like wearing the mesh top over my bralette will give me that feeling of coverage, so I won't be like, everyone sees me. But I'll feel cool and breezy and summer beautiful, so I'm gonna give that a try. And I'm really excited because my cousin and I are going to do a virtual knit along. So she and I are both gonna cast on and trade notes and just kind of push each other along, motivate each other. So that's coming up on very soon. Hopefully I can finish something before I start that, but there's no rules in knitting, right? The next thing that is in my queue, well, that's actually the only thing that's in my queue. This luscious Cowgirl Blue, what? Cowgirl Blues mohair. Yes, this is 70% mohair, 30% silk. I love it. It's so soft. And guess what? There's 2 of them. So at first I was thinking, I bought this in the beginning part of the year. It was still winter, very much winter. And I was thinking of just doing a really beautiful stockinette, super wide scarf wrap around and just feel all luxurious. But then I had another thought, and I don't know if this would work, and I would have to purchase some fingering yarn to go with it. But I briefly considered Pierre Day. Pierre Day. I believe that's how it's pronounced. By Anna and Heidi Pickles. And it's got a kid silk mohair flowiness to it. It's a top with a little bit of structure around the neckline and the chest. But then it's just very flowy. And I thought, maybe I'd do something like that, and I could wear that. It's probably more of a transitional piece. It's not going to be dead of winter. It's definitely not going to be the heat of the summer. So that's one of the nebulous ideas I have floating around in my mind to do with this beautiful yarn. The other yarn I acquired has a funny story. I'm not a punk rocker. I don't know, maybe I look, but anyway, I went to a punk rock festival. No, punk rock flea market. But I really wasn't interested in purchasing most of the stuff. Except this lady was there with her yarns from the Yarn Barn. It's an online store only, so anybody can choose to support them if they want to. And what I bought from her was these lovely DK Fairy Dust Twinkle. And I said those words all out of order, but you catch my meaning. I love the colors in here. And there is that little bit of sparkle. It's DK weight, so I could certainly do a lot with it. And it's a nice squishy yarn. It's 75% merino, 20% silk, and the 5% sparkle. That's me. I got 5% sparkle. Anyway, I am excited about this yarn. I don't have a plan for it yet, but I will keep it in mind as I'm looking on Ravelry, which I'm becoming more and more obsessed with. All right, that concludes what my new yarn acquisitions are. But I have a new piece of gear. I bought myself a digital scale from Amazon. It looks like this. In fact, this is it. And I never had one before, and the reason I got one was not directly knitting related, but it was yarn or fiber related. I wanted to start doing some needle felting, and I was reading the patterns for needle felting projects, and they all say just the amount of grams of roving that you should use for a certain part of an animal. And I was like, I have no idea what 20 grams looks like, or especially in roving. I just had no clue. So I got this. It's really, really simple. It even came with batteries, which is amazing. And I tested it out with my Zen Garden because this says I get 100 grams. Well, guess what? I actually have 104 grams. All right, so that's it for my new yarn and new gear. And now I'm gonna share with you something that I am reading and enjoying. So it is kind of summer, and I am reading Jennifer Weiner, Big Summer. This is her book from 2020, July 2020. So you may have missed it while you're all locked up in your houses. It's about an Instagram model. That's our main character. Her name is Daphne Berg, and she has a longtime childhood friend named Drew. Drew has kind of put her through the ringer. She hasn't always been the best friend that she could be, but Daphne decides, okay, well, I have something to gain from Drew's notoriety. Drew is kind of famous, and she's marrying someone who's very famous. So Daphne says, okay, yes, I will attend your wedding as a bridesmaid. Well, let me tell you, I recommend you read this book if you haven't already, and don't read the flap. I haven't told you anything that should spoil it, but I love jumping into a book and like having the first shock, and then realizing it's something that everyone who read the flap already knew, but like the author did it really well. So let me just say, if you're interested in a fun summer read with some substance and intrigue, I recommend Big Summer. Well, folks, I think that's all I have for today. I thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.